Joined by sports director Matt McCoy and the play-by-play announcer for the Wisconsin Badgers, Matt LePay. Matt, for folks that don't know, your lineage goes through Columbus, Ohio, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. I graduated from that large school in York City there, and worked in the market for a couple of years. Faces have changed, names have changed, but Matt McCoy and I know each other really well, so that's cool. It's good to be on.
Absolutely, it's fantastic to have you on. Can you in any way gauge your shock at the result of the Wisconsin-Illinois game over the weekend?
Yeah, it's one of those like delayed reaction when it's happening. You're thinking, "Nah, is this really happening?" And you wake up the next morning, and yeah, it really did. So the longer I've done this, the less I should be surprised. But in the moment, no, that was not something that I think anybody expected. Maybe Illinois did, but I can't imagine anybody else did.
Now, Matt, Joel and I were both saying this morning, from an Ohio State perspective, looking at it in our bubble, this feels like the worst thing in the world for Ohio State, in our opinion. One, it takes a little bit of the luster off of the game because Wisconsin drops at 13. And two, I just have to me, this gives Wisconsin a little bit more of a edge. Not that they wouldn't have been. I mean, it sounds stupid to say. Of course they would have been fired up for the game. But when you come off a loss, a lot of times it sharpens you a little bit. What are you expecting from the Badgers coming into the stadium? What's their attitude going to be like?
Well, yeah, I think, Matt, you're right. I think there's going to be some anger. They're no different than any other team in sports, right? You like to prove people wrong, and they know that the criticism is going to rain down on them. So, going on the road, they can do this whole them against the world deal. Look, man, I do think this is a really good football team. It had a bad game on Saturday against an Illinois team that played really well. But, I know that people have talked about point spreads, and it's the biggest straight-up loss, when you're favored by X amount of points. But it's not the first time that Wisconsin has had a loss that has really rocked a lot of people up here. 20 years ago, they lose to a Cincinnati team that had lost to a 1AA team the week before. Their first Rose Bowl winning team lost to a bad Minnesota team in '93, so on and so forth. So not the first time we've seen it, but I would imagine this Wisconsin team will come out and play a lot better. If it's good enough to win, I don't know about that, but I would expect a much, much better effort.
Yeah, well, you've got 4 shutouts on the season through the midway point. So, again, it's a lot of times for us, it's, our offense versus the opposition defense, because it seems like we have faced a fairly good number of really good defenses so far.
Yeah, and Wisconsin's is good. They have pretty good, relative to past Wisconsin teams, they have pretty good team speed. They have pretty good depth. The linebacking core has been sharp. Jim Leonard, the defensive coordinator, who was an All-American here at Wisconsin, played a number of years in the NFL, and he's done a great job of scheming. They gave up a couple big plays against Illinois, which they really hadn't allowed much of this season, but it's inevitable. You're going to give some up. But the defense, even Saturday, it wasn't great. It was good enough to win. It's the offense that, for Wisconsin right now, that is having some issues, or certainly did on Saturday. So it'll be interesting from our perspective up here to see what Wisconsin's offense is going to be able to do against a great Ohio State defense.
Matt, you've watched all of Jonathan Taylor for 3 years. What makes him special? I know he put the ball on the ground in one of the issues on Saturday, but nonetheless, great player, great career. What jumps out at you when I say Jonathan Taylor? Why is he so good?
Just as he continues to get better, that was his first lost fumble of the season, and that in his first year, as terrific as it was, that was an issue. And he got a little bit better last year. He had been flawless in terms of losing fumbles until Saturday in the fourth quarter. But to me, he's a total package running back. He shows great patience. He can make you miss. He can run through you. He's very, very strong, and he has sprinter speed. And now he's a threat to catch the ball, which is something that he had wanted to do, especially going into last year. It never really transpired. They had a very, very fluid situation at quarterback a year ago, but he worked so hard on it over the summer. He's able to catch the ball now, and that's obviously going to make him really attractive as an NFL player. If you give him a little bit of room, which was lacking at times on Saturday, but if you give him a little bit of room, he can turn a 2 or 3 yard play into a 10, 15-yard play or more.
Yeah, well, I tell you, you're coming into town a little bit early if you need a place to hang out. I can't promise you won't get a little ribbon here, but you're welcome to come and hang out with us if you want to, Matt.
Yeah, I'll just have the hat on, the glasses, and take off all the Wisconsin garb. Right?
Look,
a little bit safer that way.
Either way, you
man,
win.
I'm coming home. You got to be nice to the guy, to the native son coming back.
I was going to say, either way, you win. Your alma mater wins, or the team you've
there you go. Let's go with the alma mater.
For years wins. So you can't lose.
Yeah, well, yeah, I can. Yeah, I was born a Buckeye, but I am now a full-blown Badger.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's all about the Badgers for me.
All right, man. Well, have a good trip in, and I appreciate
Thanks,
the time
Matt.
very much this morning. Matt LePay, he's the play-by-play man for the Wisconsin Badgers. There's a little behind-the-scenes look as we got another big game week in Columbus.